Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. Hope all you guys are doing good today. I'm about to go eat some quiche. I don't know if you guys ever had quiche before, but I'm gonna go eat some quiche after this video, so I'm sort of excited about that. But that's not really what this video is about. What this video is about is I'm gonna be taking a look at some of these Detroit Lions players for the sort of their 2020 fantasy outlook, specifically Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, and Marvin Jones. So I'm gonna take a look at all three of these players, take a look at where they're being drafted right now, and if there's some value with where they're being drafted, okay? So if there's some value, because in fantasy, we really want some value, and so I'm going to tell you if I think there's value in these guys for this season. So if you guys are new here, welcome to the Sideline Scoop. My name is Luke Beller, and I post videos about the Green Bay Packers. As you can see back here, I'm a Packers fan, and fantasy football as well. So if you're in either of those things, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. And so let's get into this video. So if we take a look at last season, in the 2019 season, the Detroit Lions, they brought in a new offensive coordinator, and that sort of made Matthew Stafford, I think, a better quarterback, sort of the way that they started to play. His name is Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator. Interesting name, that's for sure. But if we take a look at Matthew Stafford last season, in his first 8 games, he put up some really good numbers. He was a 4th-ranked quarterback in points per game last season in those 8 games that he played. Then he hurt his back, and he no longer played. But in those first 8 games, he put up 2,499 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And right now, he's being taken as a 13th quarterback off the board. So right there, I'm just like, okay, there might be some value in this guy. Like later rounds come around, I think I might be scooping this guy up some. He's got some value here as the 13th quarterback ADP-wise right now. And one interesting thing that I sort of noticed doing my research on this guy is when you sort of look at like these deep passes that he's been throwing, specifically deep passes of 20 plus air yards, last season he threw 20 of them. And you might be like, why does that matter? He threw the ball deep 20 times, over 20 yards, like who cares? And the reason it sort of matters is in his previous 5 seasons, which he played 16 games in all of those seasons, he only had 23 of those passes, okay? 23. So in 5 seasons playing 16 games, he had 23, and then in 8 games last season, he had 20. So I think that sort of just shows you that this Lions offense is ready to continue to throw it deep, which will help Stafford's value as he was a quarterback 4 in those first 8 games, and Golladay and Marvin Jones' value as well. So right there, I just think people are forgetting sort of what Stafford did in his first 8 games, and they're just sort of remembering that he got injured. And of course, there's always an injury risk, but that always happens. People can always hurt themselves, okay? But in fantasy, you got to take some risks, and I think he'll probably be fine, hopefully. But I think that he's a great value in the later rounds, Stafford is. And so because of that also, some of these wide receivers are good values as well. And one interesting thing to take a look at is when you take a look at Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. So obviously people prefer Kenny Golladay over Marvin Jones because he is the better player. He's one of the, I'd say probably a top 10 wide receiver, Kenny Golladay. But one interesting thing is sort of the massive discrepancy, I think, between where these guys are being drafted. Because right now, if you look at where Kenny Golladay is being drafted, he's being drafted as the about, I guess, like 8th wide receiver off the board. But then Marvin Jones, can you guess what he's being drafted at? He's being drafted as the 40th wide receiver, number 40, which is sort of crazy right now. Because if we take a look at their stats from last season, when Matthew Stafford was playing, so in those first 8 games, weeks 1 through 9, Marvin Jones was a 14th ranked wide receiver. He put up 42 catches, 535 yards, and 6 touchdowns on 57 targets. And then Kenny Golladay was the wide receiver 11 through those first 8 games. He put up 62 targets, 35 receptions, 640 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So in the first 8 games, there are only 3 spots apart in those games that Matthew Stafford played. Marvin Jones, the 14th wide receiver, Kenny Golladay, the 11th ranked wide receiver. So I don't see why there's such a big discrepancy, and I think because of that, there's lots of value in picking Marvin Jones later in these rounds because he's being picked in like the 8th to 9th round about, depending on how many teams are in your league, of course. But there's lots of value with Marvin Jones. He's a guy that I think will really outperform where he's being drafted. Maybe he'll move up as the season comes sooner because right now it's June when I'm filming this video. But right now, I think he's a great value where he's being picked right now. Tons of value with Marvin Jones. So I think one thing that sort of to look at between these guys is Kenny Golladay is a more consistent player, I'd say, and Marvin Jones is a guy who maybe isn't as reliable week to week, but he puts up some massive weeks. Because last season, in those first 8 games, he put up a 4 touchdown game in those games, and he had 3 games with 22 plus points. So he's more of an up and down kind of guy, Marvin Jones is, but with where he's being drafted right now, Like, he could be a guy that really, he could put up wide receiver 2 numbers in 2020, and maybe some weeks he won't put up great weeks, but I think there will be weeks where Marvin Jones will, like, win you the week. Because, like, he has games where he puts up 20-plus points, and that could really just take your team to the next level, especially with where he's being picked. He's being picked in the 8th or 9th round, and he's putting up those kinds of numbers for you. That means that, like, he's just really going to help your team out. So, honestly, as you can tell, I sort of like Marvin Jones. Like, man, Marvin Jones has some good value right now. Dang. And then one other thing to look at with Kenny Golladay is he is a better value when it comes to standard leagues, because he's sort of not the kind of guy that's like a target hog that gets every single ball just like being thrown at him. You know, he's more of a deep threat. So like imagine just like a deep threat. And so he really can spread the field, and because of that, he was 3rd in standard leagues last year and 9th in PPR. So that's a somewhat pretty big difference. So I think that in standard leagues, I don't think it's necessarily bad to pick him. I just think there's more value with where Marvin Jones is being picked. I think that with Kenny Golladay, where he's being drafted is pretty much where his value is. And so, I don't know, with Kenny Golladay, I'd probably take him maybe like the end of the 2nd, beginning of the 3rd round. If you did take him, I don't think you necessarily need to take him. I don't know, because like if I want Marvin Jones, so I'm just doing some thinking right here. Because it's like, okay, if we want Marvin Jones, if he's a really good value, do we really want both of them on our team? Because I don't know, because sometimes, you know, when you have 2 players on your team, like let's say you had Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, and let's say you want to play them both, it's like some weeks one guy will do good, one guy will do bad. It sort of stinks having 2 guys on your team sometimes from the same team. It sort of depends, especially 2 wide receivers. I just don't know about that one. So I might be going for Marvin Jones, and maybe with Kenny Golladay, depending on where he goes, I might pick another guy. I'm probably going to stack up on running backs earlier in the draft this year. We'll see, though, because, you know, sometimes we change our mind. But, yeah, that's basically my thought process, as you can see right now. But that was all I wanted to share on this video. So summarization. Matthew Stafford, great value, being picked as the 13th quarterback off the board, was a QB4 in his first 8 games last season. Hopefully his back is healed. That would be great. I think it is. So, good value there. Marvin Jones, great, screaming value. Being picked as a 40th wide receiver, and he could definitely put up wide receiver 2 numbers. Even if he put up wide receiver 3 numbers, he'd still be a good value. So there's really like no risk with Marvin Jones. Like, why not? Then Kenny Golladay, probably a top 10 wide receiver. So if you pick him, there's no problem picking Kenny Golladay. So basically, I think the Lions offense is going to do well. As you can tell from this video, it's like there's just so many signs pointing to them doing well. Plus their defense isn't very good. So they'll probably be coming from behind a lot of times. So that will always help them. Yeah, basically. So that's basically all I wanted to share in this video. If you guys got any value from this video, feel free to hit the thumbs up down below. And if you want to see some more videos like this, some more fantasy football videos, if you happen to want to see videos about the Packers as well, maybe you're a Packers fan, maybe you're not, maybe you just want to watch Packers videos for some reason. I'm not really sure what you like or what you're into, but fantasy football or Packers, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Feel free, I would appreciate you. You're welcome here. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say to you guys. Is there anything else I need to say? Anything else? Well, all I want to say is, guys, have an amazing day with whatever you're doing. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you have a great fantasy season. And if you never watch one of my videos again, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. So that's going to be all for this video. Thank you for watching the Sideline Scoop. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out.